what our sign up was for this afternoon. We're all here. So if you guys want, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. I have a kind of a dummy account with some random children in it for Think Central, so we can work through that and exactly what it'll look like to assign different things to students. But the first thing that you will want to do is start by setting up your student library. And I'm going to send you an email that will give you my recommendations of what to put in there, the things that I would definitely put in, and then some optional items. You don't want to overwhelm your students with too many resources in there so that they're not confused, since I know we don't usually use Think Central as a resource for our children to access online. We use it as teachers. So we're going to start by doing that. So here's what it looks like whenever I first log into Think Central. And I'm going to come over here to manage classes on the left-hand side. And this is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it back. Thanks, Mr. Clark. I had issues with that this morning. All right, and so here I should have a class already. If you don't, they're super easy to build. You can start a new one, but here's my dummy class, and I'm just going to click on it. I can select my name, so if you are departmentalized, you can name it by blocks, or you can put all of your students in one group. It does not matter. Whichever way you find easier, I would recommend putting them all together. So then here, defining their library, you just select your grade level. Here I've got a 4th grade selected. So you just choose your grade level, and then we scroll down and we look at all of the different resources. So you can see there's a lot of them, and we don't want to overwhelm the students with all of those because it's really challenging to navigate through. We want just what they need. So like I said, I'm going to email you a list of recommendations that I definitely think should be in their library, and then some that are options based on what you prefer. So I'm looking for things like animated math models, the Go Math Carmen Sandiego. If you are a primary teacher, then this, instead of Carmen Sandiego, it's Curious George. Enrich book, that would be an optional thing. The practice book, so their homework book, you probably want that. The reteach book, I would definitely recommend because it gives them really explicit examples up at the top that they could go back to and reflect on. Spanish, if you've got a Spanish speaking student, that's an option. And then their actual textbook. As you scroll down, there's even more. These intensive intervention packets are definitely not necessary. It'd be something that you would want to look at the resource yourself and decide. But I would definitely recommend putting in the Go Math on the spot videos. Mega Math is a great way for them to play as well. I would take these off. But Mega Math has just tons and tons of games. I'll open it for you in a few minutes so you can see what it looks like. It would probably just be something that you would want to say, go on Mega Math and pick a game and play it, because navigating it would be a lot, especially for our little people. So once I scroll down to the bottom, I've got that class built. I know what I want in their library, and I am going to assign my students. So depending on who I am, if I'm a departmentalized teacher, let's say I am, let me get rid of all those. Let's say I am Miss Oakley and I have 3 blocks of students. I want to just put everybody in one class. So I'm going to select grade 4 and come over here and click find. That's going to change, that's from earlier. That's going to change this list of students over here. So now I'm only going to see 4th graders. So for Miss Oakley or another teacher like that, Miss Sar, we could click add all and they'll all pop over. We don't want that, so we're going to remove them. So being a departmentalized or self-contained teacher, what I'm going to do is just select that one child that is in my class. So let's say Donovan is the first student in my class. I'm going to hit the control button on my keyboard and just hold it down as I continue to select, oops, I wanted to change the size of my screen when I did that. As I begin to select all of my other students, and then I will just click add. Okay, so there's my tiny class. All right, I'm going to click over here that I'm done. Those are my people, and yes, please save it. So now all of those students have everything that I'm looking for. Okay, so I can go back home by just clicking on Think Central, or if I know where I want to go, I can click along here. So I'm going to go back home just because I want to talk about the resource area and the difference between selecting from this section or actually clicking on this link. So we're going to work in second grade today. So here I can kind of go through just a few resources. You see how few are available in this little tab. There's just 6 of them. Depending on what you're using, you might find that very easy. The Go Math on the Spot videos are right here. Those are simple and easy to use. I would definitely recommend them. The Go Math Interactive Student Edition, I recommend that one as well. The Personal Math Trainer can be useful as well, and then their Student Edition, all right? But if I click on resources, what I'll see is a very long list that can be a little overwhelming because look at how many resources it is. So, and then I have to come and search for things like, where are those Go Math on the Spot videos? And if you're like me, you start kind of looking like this across them and you can't find what you're looking for. So we're going to talk about a couple of these different resources now that we know where to find them. So let's look at MegaMath. So MegaMath has a lot of fun games, but like I said, it can be really overwhelming to have to give directions to it. So if I was to say, okay, go to Country Countdown, then I'm going to have to tell them, let's click on Blockbusters. And now look at how many options there are under here. So MegaMath, a really fun thing for them to have access to because then they can play games. However, it would probably be really overwhelming for students.
I'm Callie. Welcome to
All right, we'll go ahead and close that. It could be really overwhelming for students to have to navigate all of these games. So it's a resource that you may or may not want to add to them. You know, it would be perfectly fine to leave it off. You've got plenty of other activities plus iReady and Reflex, so it's not something that's necessary. So my recommendation for assignments for students would be to give them the interactive animated math models. So either these here that are the Curious George ones. So these are separated out by skill, so not by chapter. So I would have to go and find the skill that I'm looking for. But what's nice about these is that they are linked from the student book as well as your teacher edition. So whenever you have those open on your screen, you can click on it. It'll show you which skill you would need to assign. And then you can search for it based on name. And then also, if you have your hard copy teacher's edition in there, it's gonna show you that as well. All right, so my favorite one though for you, see here I am scrolling through. So I'm gonna go back to the front because it's just so much easier to find. And I'm clicking on my grade level. So I would want to assign their Go Math Interactive Student Edition. So pops up like this. I know a lot of teachers will use these in their classrooms as part of their instruction. It's really easy to find. You can give them access to this in their library so they can go and watch these videos as much as they want. So I can click on my chapter, click right there on my lesson, and then it will start. It's going to go through a lesson for me. It's going to give me information. They're going to teach me some skills.
Friends. Let's record information about the colors
just go
of
through
these
the
cubes.
process like we do in the book.
You can record information in a tally chart.
Our listen and draw section. It's going to have a place where they're going to practice through Personal Math Trainer. What's nice about this is if I click on this, you can actually save yourself the step of not having to go and find the Go Math on the Spot video. Because once you've assigned this for them and they go through here, they've got 2 questions to practice. If you look over here, they can get an example. It will link them directly to the Go Math on the Spot and their textbook. So these are really the easiest way to assign a comprehensive lesson to your students. Okay. After that, it's going to go through another Personal Math Trainer, and this one's going to be more of a quiz. It'll be a longer process, but again, it's got examples and their textbook. The one difference here is that their on the spot video is not assigned, but they could always click out of it and go back to it using the navigation bar at the bottom. So these are really kind of your best bet for doing assignments for your kids, for them to be able to interact with it. and have lots of practice online. All right, let me close. Okay, so that's called your interactive student edition, and that's one that we're going to put into their library. And like I said, I'll email you that list. All right, let's see. We looked at the math models. We've looked at Mega Math. Sorry, guys, I'm checking my list. All right, let's look at the Go Math on the Spot videos. So if you are not familiar with those, here they are in your resources, or you can find them in that really long list. So they navigate these in the exact same way, clicking on their grade and the chapter, and then here on the video. And then I get these silly little teachers that go through a lesson. They show the students how to work through a problem. See if I can get her to play a little. So you can see she's talking to the puppet while she's actively writing on the screen. So just another way to give them an example of how to do the math problem. And then this is that video that's linked in the first personal math trainer that they saw on those animated math models in the interactive version. But we'll put these into their library as well, so they always have access and can go back and very easily find them. Okay, so that is it for the biggest resources that you're going to want to use in there and how to find them. And so let's look at how to create an assignment, because your students will have a toolbar. They have a little to-do list. There's a little checklist, and they just click on it and it gives them their assignments. And so they're going to find those going here, assignment, or if you happen to have that navigation bar at the top, you'll see it right there as well. So I'm going to select, hold on just a second, Brady and Reagan, mommy's working. Okay, thank you. All right, so when I'm selecting these, I can select a range due date if I want to, or I can just go ahead and set it here. If you're wanting them to show up in a list in order for your students, then you'll want to stagger your start dates. So if I was saying that I want to begin my first one here on April 13th, if you notice my due date does change. It only changes by a few days. So you're going to want to probably edit that to give it at least until like through Sunday. Okay. And then I would maybe want to start the next one on the 14th. Okay. That way it'll stagger them and it will show in their to-do list in order. Just makes it a little easier for them. All right. So now we're going to find our activity. We're going to add an assignment over here with this little button. Right, so I know that I'm going to be looking for a lesson called Collect Data, and that's exactly what lesson 10.1 in second grade is called. So whenever they're looking for it on their textbook or on their interactive book, that's what it's going to be called. If they look at their standards practice book or their reteach, that's what it's called too. I could even label this as 10.1. That would help them find it in the Go Math on the Spot videos also. So here, I'm going to go with searchable resource and hit go. Up in the top, I'm going to collect data and I'm going to search for it. So already you can see it's popped right up with 2.1 because we know that's where it falls. But if I scroll down over here, I can check that I want things only for second grade because there may be other grade levels that have those words in their lesson titles. And then I can search down to find exactly what I'm looking for, okay? So I can view these lessons on here, so I know exactly what it is I'm assigning.
How do you use the tally chart to record data from a survey?
Let me get it out of the screen. I can't because, there we go. Can't see it because of some of this stuff. So I'm gonna be looking for the ISE Student View 10.1 Collect Data, okay? I'm going to go ahead and click assign and it's going to attach it right there. Okay. Uh-oh. Let's go back. So assignments, we're going to add an assignment. Collect data. All right, I'm going to step out of the screen for just a second. My children are making noise. Sorry, they're not used to mommy not being available. All right, so I'm going to scroll down, find that lesson. There it is, collect data. Click assign and it will pop. No adaptive products assigned to, oh, yes, that's why. Because that particular one is not assigned in my grade level. So let me go and do that now. Interactive Student Edition. There it is. That's my problem. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so add assignment. One more time. 10.1, collect data, search and go. Oops. Clicking second grade over here. Scrolling down, student view of it, and I'm going to click assign. There we go. Really? Oh, y'all. It worked just fine this morning. All right. Find a different resource to attach. Filter by them being assignable. See if we can assign this one. There we go. No adaptive products in my class. But they're all there. We put them there. They were there this morning and worked. Y'all, I'm really sorry. I'm not sure why that's happening because all of this is in here. Interactive Student Edition, Mega Math on the spot. They're all there. So odd. So odd. Second grade. Assignable. See if we try a different one. All right, so we'll try the animated math model. That's the one that's going to match the Curious George. There we go. That's how it's supposed to work. Just like that. So it's going to pop up with their name. There's the link to it. And then you're going to just come down here, select your class. You do have to select the subject before it will let you add anything. You can select certain students to assign it to, or you can go ahead and do it to all. And then you can change your date range down here if you need to. If not, you're just going to hit save and it's going to create it and put it right into their to-do list. So that one generally works just that easy. So I'll have to look at exactly what we need to have assigned in our libraries to make those others work. So now what you'll be able to see as a list of assignments right here, you can see the assignments that we have added. Oh, look at that, it did add one. And I can click on it to view the progress. It's going to show me I can look at my entire class or a specific student. Obviously, no one has started it yet. These are all fake students anyway. But otherwise, if they had, it's going to give me information that says that they've completed it, and I can always export a report here. I won't do that because there's nothing to look at. So are there any questions on the Think Central piece? I'll have to stop sharing if you're in chat. I hear somebody's typing. Can you set up one? Yes. Yes, you can set up as many classes as you want. So just on that Manage Classroom tab, Ms. Mills, you'll see. Let me go back. There's a yes share. There's a tab right there, Manage Classes, and that little button right there. Let's see. There's the add. So it's going to have something in here already, but you can add a class. So once I've selected that one, you saw this button became live, and therefore you can add it. You can just call it third grade or kindergarten, whatever you want to. Any other questions about Think Central? Don't see any in the chat. All right. so let's look really quickly at science. Works in a really similar way. You're going to find the science in your, what do I call that? Class link. I kept wanting to say Think Central. In your class link also. So it's this little Ed with this cute little stick figure he got. So Focus loads a lot more information more seamlessly into it's a much newer platform that's easier to use. It's more adaptable to accept information from things like Focus. So I'm going to come over to the top right-hand corner and I'm going to look here at Manage Programs because first and foremost, I want to make sure that I have access to what I want. So as I scroll down, I'm going to find all of the different things that HMH offers. So depending on my grade level, I might want to have access to all grade levels. You can see I do, or you might just want to have access to your grade level. So you just click that little box saying, yes, I want it. And you scroll up to the top and make sure that you save your changes. Otherwise, it's not going to be there. So we can come over then to the Discover tab at the left side. And I can choose my unit. So let's say we are working on energy. So I can see automatically there are only 2 lessons in the unit for energy. I can do a couple of things. I can scroll down here and look at all of the resources laid out for me here. If I am printing student books, especially primary grades, you guys don't have those hard copies. And so if you're wanting to print them in order to send them home on the 13th, then you'll just click on Print Student Edition PDF. And then you can find your unit and open it. And it'll show you the entire student book. It is in full color, so print quality, may lack a little to be desired, but this is a resource that is available for you. Okay. All right, so let's go back. So I can also, once I've selected my unit, right here, I can either go directly to the student book or the teacher book. I can view my resources based on which lesson I'm looking at, or I can just click View Resources and it will show me all of them. Okay. Lots of filters that I can choose. So maybe I only want to look at the student options right now because I know that I want to assign a digital lesson. That's probably the easiest way to convey our science content to our students, especially those in primary that are not fluent readers. And so there are all of these digital lessons. That's what you'll want to look for. It'll say student view of digital lesson, or it might say that it's an inquiry lesson. And so one is going to be a little presentation of information. They might have some things that they'll manipulate on the screen. And then the other one is an online version of an investigation. So we can come over here and open it to see what it is. It's going to match the content that is in the textbook. It's going to be presented in a different way, obviously, because it's an online interactive format and not paper-based, but it presents the same information for them. And so it's going to talk them through, obviously, I turn the sound off, but it asks them questions, it goes through why it works. They'll have to click around to get more information. And so these can be pretty lengthy. I would recommend assigning 2, maybe 3 a week, depending. That's kind of the expectation is that you'll have 3 days worth of science plans. And so these, especially these digital lessons, could go a little bit longer. And the inquiry ones as well. So 2 to 3 a week would be fine. So just give you an idea of what these look like. I know a lot of teachers already use them, but see here, it's not ready for me to drag and drop. It's still talking to me, giving me more options down there. But these puzzle pieces will drag and drop to match up there. So it's a very similar way to assign something like that. I can just click right over here, assign. Now, the one thing is it's going to populate that title for you. There's a lot of words in here. So I would recommend taking out everything except for the actual essential question. That way you can direct your children to do just that essential question. You can select your student groups over here. and then your start date and your due date. So you might want to look at starting on April 13th. And then my end date maybe is going to be the 19th because I'm going to give them basically a full week to work on these. Directions are optional, so you don't need to write anything in there. The biggest thing you would really tell them to do is go through the tutorial, so you can just leave that out and click assign. So super easy, even easier to manage than Think Central. So fortunately, what it does now is it keeps me on this same page that I was on, so I can go and find the other digital lesson for this. So the first one would have been how to use energy. Then I could even do an online quiz. Okay, but I'm going to be looking for how does the sun warm our home, and there it is. So student view of digital lesson. Again, we could use the filters off to the side. I just wanted you to see that there are a lot of other resources. This one's an inquiry lesson, so it's going to be an online investigation, and you can just assign it the same way, taking out all of that other stuff to help make it a little less confusing for the kids. If I didn't want them to perhaps start that until later in the week, I could change my start date. What's nice about this is that I can work ahead. You can go ahead and go through and just sit down and assign all of your science lessons for the remainder of the school year, and they will automatically populate from now until the end. So all you will have to do is then come into this assignments tab each week. You'll see it here. Gives you a quick little glance on like who's completed it, who's in progress, what are we ready to grade. When I click on the assignment, look at all that. So obviously none of my kiddos have started it, but they're all right there. If you want to create a group for just your online learners so that you're not seeing all students, that's definitely an option. And you can do that over here in the groups section. And so you can just pull them in. It's literally just usually, oh, do I need to pull them down here? I had it too far up. So just a drag and drop into those groups. That would be a way to, one, differentiate, which we know it's core curriculum, so we don't do as much differentiation during this part. But you could just pull over your kids that you know are doing online learning. So whenever you look at those reports and you assign it, you're not looking at all students and having to figure that out at all the time. And then I just click save and done, and then I've got a group there that I can use for my assignments. So, all right, so any questions about that? I'm gonna go ahead and delete these assignments because Ms. Brown doesn't need those in there. Pop back over here. So that's pretty much it. Any questions? Awesome. All right. Well, I will shoot you an email with the essentials that I would put into my library for Go Math. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. All right. See you guys later. Bye.